Since the COVID-19 pandemic started, consumers have increasingly used online and mobile channels to access banking products and services. These have led to a rise of online fraud attack levels. The sophisticated nature of threats and fraud requires innovative fraud prevention solutions to detect, fight, and prevent fraud. In a few moments, I'll be speaking with ThreatMarks' new CEO, Daniel Rawlings, to learn more about how to take on these issues while boosting online security. Daniel, nice to meet you.
Hi, Marilyn. Nice to meet you as well. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so now for a brief introduction, could you please tell us a bit about yourself? What experiences have led you to be ThreatMark CEO, and how do these tie into the company's objectives?
I've been in technology for about 30 years. The early part of my career was spent with large companies such as Oracle, PeopleSoft, SAP, and Ariba, working my way up through the sales ranks and sales leadership on global and national basis. For the last 20 years, the more recent part of my career has been spent either as CEO, Chief Commercial Officer, or Chief Revenue Officer at smaller organizations, usually between 10 and 25 million in revenues, to help them grow and scale and reach their market potential in their target markets. And that's generally done on a global basis. So I've got a lot of experience growing teams from the geography they started in and companies to global basis and high growth and hyper growth and scalability. So that lends itself pretty nicely to the mission at ThreatMark, which is really to take the good things and the traction that the company's achieved in Central Europe as a anti-fraud platform for banking and financial services, take that out more widely across all of Europe and North America as well.
Now, focusing on ThreatMarks aim to help businesses, especially those in financial services, so to solve their fraud and compliance challenges. Could you please emphasize what are these challenges that are plaguing the financial services businesses? What is that keeps their executives up at night?
Well, there's a lot of things to keep a chief information security officer or a head of fraud and risk in financial services up at night. But I think that if I abstract out a little bit, the shift to digital channels and the shift to digital over the last, let's say, decade has been one of the things that they've constantly evolved to. And as the usage has shifted to mobile as well, you've really had a lot of the activity, money movement, et cetera, that used to be done either in person or on PC banking, those kinds of things, has shifted to mobile and shifted to digital channels. So that is the least mature technology, the least mature protection technology and capabilities. So naturally, if all of the money movement and sensitive personal information and information access is shifted to those channels, that's where the fraudsters and the criminal element has gone as well. So I'd say at the macro level, the thing that keeps them up at night is the consistent, continual shift to digital, but also the ever-increasing threat and vulnerabilities that exist in those channels. And there definitely needs to be new and innovative technologies brought to bear, because the criminal element and the fraudsters, they don't rest. When you close off one available door to them, they'll find and exploit another way in. And I think some of the advanced technologies like behavioral biometrics and like real-time and continuous type of monitoring threat detection, those are the kinds of things that can be brought to bear and put in place to really neutralize some of the newer types of fraud and criminal activity.
So you mentioned the digital channels. What can be done to secure financial institutions' mobile and online channels? And how does ThreatMark's solution and vision align with this?
I think that, if you put yourself in the industry's shoes, the financial services industry, they're serving the needs of their customers. They've got to do it in a way that's safe and secure, reduces risk for themselves and their customers, but they have to go about that in a way that provides a pleasing customer experience and doesn't introduce too much friction. And I think some of the older technology, that is the real paradigm problem, is that when you raise the height of the fence and you raise the protection, you also introduce friction and you lower the customer experience. So I know for at least the last decade, there's there's been a constant tug of war between the parts of the organization that are trying to protect and the parts of the organization that are trying to have a meaningful and pleasing customer engagement and customer experience. So a lot of the protections and technology investments that have been put in place so far, even as recently as the last 3 to 5 years ago, they still introduce too much friction. Two-factor authentication, one-time passwords, a selfie, fingerprint, some of these iris scan, voice biometrics. These are things that are great, but they do introduce friction, and they cause the user to have to stop what they're doing and authenticate themselves. The technology, the newer technology, the innovative technology for companies such as ThreatMark, we basically can lay in a complementary way, we can lay in amongst the existing technologies and protections that maybe solved a little bit of yesterday's problems, but those are still needing to be armor that's in place. Fortunately, advanced technology like ThreatMark is behavioral biometrics based, doesn't introduce any friction, it's behind the scenes, it's constantly working, it's continuous, it's real time in nature, and it's constantly assessing how you hold the phone, how you type, how you walk, all the things that make you you. And it's hacker level data signals that we're synthesizing through our AI and machine learning and all of the technology solution. And it really allows for this really good combination, a really compelling and attractive combination of the most accurate and highest levels of authentication and security, but actually the highest levels of customer experience and a friction-free customer experience as well.
Yeah, so you mentioned higher levels of authentication, use of technology. I have a hint that we are going to talk a lot about these topics next year. So as we are less than 1 month until the end of the year, what are your predictions for this space for 2022?
Well, I think for 2022, it's going to be an exciting year. We're going to see more adoption and acceptance, more widespread acceptance of newer innovative technologies like ThreatMark. For example, we're behavioral biometrics, and I've talked earlier about some of the characteristics of that. It's continuous in nature, it's real time in nature. But for ThreatMark, we also span a broader part of the life cycle. So instead of just best in class technologies being put in place, and the customer has to cobble that together and somehow orchestrate them to give the best result, I think you're going to see more platforms being accepted. For example, ThreatMark offers threat detection and monitoring in real time and continuous, identity protection, identity authentication, identity assurance, real time and continuous, and transaction protection that's real time and continuous as well. And that the combination of all three of those is wrapped in orchestration as a full platform. So you've got orchestration between them. So for example, where this is really important is if you had best in class for new account opening, for example, and that's all it did. But of course, the customer, after they open the account, they're going to live on and they're going to do transactions and they're going to have interactions with, let's say, mobile banking systems that they're using, et cetera. ThreatMark would be able to capture all of the signals and the learnings from the account opening process and be able to utilize that to more effectively learn and be accurate all through the entire remaining sessions, customer lifecycle, all of the interaction. So without that type of holistic approach and a platform approach that Gartner has touted us for, you're not really going to be able to have that type of synergy and that type of effectiveness and accuracy across all sessions and across the entire lifecycle with your digital customers. So that would be an example of additional adoption of newer technologies and doing it in a way that's really covering more of the threat landscape and covering more of the processes, probably more effective for the organization, the bank or the payments company. It's certainly more effective in terms of improving customer experience. Another area that we predict, and we're already seeing a rise in it, so I know it's going to continue in 2022, is you've really got a lot of social engineering. You've got some new technologies that, like crypto wallets and the rise in cryptocurrency and the value of that, naturally are going to be attracting the fraudsters. So we're seeing a need to protect that because criminal activity is going to go where either the money is or the information, the valuable information is. So crypto related or crypto wallet related criminal activity, I think, will be on the rise. And additionally, you're going to see social engineering and more sophisticated attacks we're already seeing a rise in some very sophisticated social engineering-based attacks that are really rooted in impersonating someone's identity and doing a more effective job of tricking a human or a system into letting them have access to money or money movement or sensitive information. And since that's probably the most valuable area for the criminal activity, and COVID has spurred even some of the laggards, like my dad and some of the older generation, to move online. They can't do as much in person anymore. They're forced to go online this last 18 months. So even some of the laggards in digital adoption and digital transformation have moved to online. That naturally puts a lot more risk and vulnerability into online channels. So I think that combination, I gave some specific examples, but in general, you're just seeing a shift to digital that's been accelerated by COVID. And because of that, the criminal activity and the vulnerabilities online have been advanced and accelerated. And organizations need to put more advanced and innovative forefront of the fraud fighting genre in place in order to combat that effectively. And ThreatMark does a great job for our customers in doing that.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. So the possibilities you shared that technology brings to the customer experience and to also boosting security make the future that the future doesn't look that scary. Thank you for your time today. And looking forward for exciting announcements coming from ThreatMark in 2022.
Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it. It's good talking with you. And happy holidays.
Yeah.